Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. A couple of days ago, I reviewed the answers that Owlcat provided regarding an AMA. Apparently, this is the gift that keeps on giving because Owlcat has chosen to publicly post all of the answers from the AMA along with answering a bunch of questions from fans, which has revealed some new information that I believe many of you would find quite interesting. So we're going to review it in this video. I will leave a link down below so you can go to the Reddit thread yourself and view all of the information. Let's get to the nitty-gritty right off the bat. Owlcat has confirmed that they will be making updates for Gold Dragon. Specifically, they've said yes, a set of mechanical changes and improvements is already in development. Story content is being discussed or planned at the moment. You guys, meaning us, the fans, did a really good job on reception of the Devil and the influx of Steam reviews after that. So the team and top management was amazed by the response, and unless something really unexpected and negative gets in the way, changes are coming. This is absolutely fantastic news. Gold Dragon, gotta be honest with you, is kind of a weak experience in my personal opinion. Mechanically, it's boring compared to a lot of the other mythic paths, most especially because your Gold Dragon form is way too large to be useful in combat. You're not fitting through doorways, and it's just clunky for your other party members to work around you. So most of the time, you're probably not going to want to use that form. And while the base stats it provides are very powerful, it doesn't have quite the same flash and pizzazz that a lot of other mythic paths provide. And the storyline, it's not up to snuff. It needs more. It needs love all the way around. So it's great to hear that. For sure, we're getting mechanical updates, but hopefully Owlcat decides to go ahead and give it some additional story content as well to help flesh things out. What I found really disappointing about Gold Dragon is that even though it's supposed to be about forgiveness and helping people and things of that nature, you don't really help redeem anybody. You don't help take someone who was on the path of evil and then try to get them on the path of righteousness. In fact, I would argue significantly more people are redeemed technically if you play as a true Aeon than if you play as a Gold Dragon, which to me doesn't really make any sense. So hopefully if they decide to add some story content, they go in that direction and give you some more opportunities to make real drastic changes and how the story goes. We'll see. Moving on from Gold Dragon, there are definitely some other tidbits that I found very interesting. This first one is actually an answer that was in the original AMA, but I kind of just glossed over it. Didn't feel like it was something that was worth talking about. But then when I dropped the video, multiple people dropped comments relating to this, so I feel like it's worth circling back. On the question of how they're going to adapt having fully voiced games, Owlcat says that having fully voiced games certainly adds to the budget and complexity of development, but there are solutions to this, and no, AI is not one of the solutions they're looking at. So multiple people were worried saying, oh man, if they're going to do fully voiced games, probably means they're going to start adding a whole bunch of AI voices into their games. That's not something that I'm looking forward to. Owlcat has actually already directly stated that is not the case. So wanted to make sure you all have that context to ensure you're aware that's not a road that they're going down. And then since we're on the subject, they did provide more information about why Owlcat has decided to go down the road of fully voiced games. So they said it's mostly a question of budget, and the studio's willing to push in this direction more because we believe it is what makes the games more immersive and attractive. It follows the modern standards of quality, and most importantly, it's impossible to count how many times the player asked this from us over the course of the history of our games. We aren't planning any significant changes to writing or amount of text when it comes to games in the same genre, so don't worry about that. I'll definitely add myself onto the list. I've said time and time again that I felt like Owlcat needed to go down this road. They needed to make their games fully voice acted. There are a ton of players who are immediately turned off when they realize that there's walls of text that they have to read through, and just having your game fully voice acted makes it a lot more attractive for those types of players. I know there's also some players who are strongly against having fully voice acted games, and they feel like it takes away from a studio's ability to be able to write dialogue and really inject a lot of additional information in what NPCs say to you. But I don't agree, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not that becomes an issue in Owlcat's next game. I'm a big fan of the way Dragon Age, for instance, handled this, where all of the NPCs were fully voice acted, and then they used written word in the codex entries to provide more lore and flavor for the people who are willing to take their time and pick up that information. I think that worked absolutely fantastically, and I would love to see Owlcat do something similar in their next game. Now, in a very interesting note, the comment goes on to say, as far as the length of the games, we have already been feeling for a while that we overstretch ourselves every time, causing the last acts to feel lacking or unfinished, especially before the DLCs are released. We feel that the future games could benefit from being a bit shorter, not dramatically, maybe by 20% or so, but better polished, less buggy, and more packed with reactivity and content for the existing acts. 100% I am in this camp. I feel like Owlcat games would benefit from being shorter. I feel like the last acts of their games consistently suffer. I think Wrath has probably been the best one as far as the last act holding up. And even there are some weaknesses, but the last act for Rogue Trader is terrible, absolutely horrible. The last act for Kingmaker is actually also terrible, but in very different ways. It's just, no, I feel like definitely their games would benefit from cutting off some of the dead weight and just trying to make better use of what time that you have. So I'm all for it. 20%, so what? That usually their games are around 100 hours, so make them 80 hours instead and make it a much more cohesive experience. 100%, I'm in favor of that. And then in a final note that I thought some of you might find interesting, Owlcat is not certain when they come back to Pathfinder whether or not they would do another game in 2nd edition or 1st edition. It seems like it's not really guaranteed that they would go with 2nd edition. Specifically, they say if a next game is ever to happen, it'd be a very long debate which system to use. Pathfinder 2e is fresher, newer, and has its own cool aspects, but there's also a massive amount of content and expertise for Pathfinder 1st edition, which would be a shame to lose. Quite a tough choice. So I know many of you prefer 1st edition over 2nd edition and would be disappointed to see all of those stories kind of get left behind. So it'll be interesting. I feel like definitely sooner or later Owlcat is going to make another Pathfinder game, and it'll be interesting to see which route they choose. Anyway, that's the video. Want to make sure all of you are aware more Gold Dragon content is on the way. Seems like Owlcat is not quite done with Wrath of the Righteous, which absolutely suits me just fine, and I'm sure it suits many of you. Please leave me a like down below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.